Hi, I'm Rachel Bedingfield and I'm filming a series of videos on the emotional lives of horses. In the first three of these series I looked at the feel-good core emotions of seeking, care and play. Now these are the ones we want to promote both in the way our horses live and also how we train them. And the next three videos I'm going to look at the more difficult ones of fear, rage and panic. Now these are the core emotional systems that all mammals have as identified by the neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp. And today I'm going to look at the fear system. Now when you think about it, the old joke is horses are only scared of two things, things that move and things that stay still. They are flight animals, which means that the fear system is very easily aroused. Running away is their go-to strategy for anything that concerns them. And this requirement is built in right from birth. Foals are known as precocious animals. Unlike other mammals which require time outside the womb to develop physically, foals are born fully physically developed. There is a strong imperative built into their brain, however. Get to your feet as fast as you can and be ready to run. Foals have to be able to keep up with mum and the rest of the herd as soon as they're born. They are the most vulnerable members of the herd and the ones that predators will single out as easy prey. Other herbivores, such as cattle, if you think about it, have horns and they can defend their young by fighting off predators. But horses have no extra fighting apparatus. They have long legs, a fast turn of speed and a fear system that is born good to go. It's important to understand that as with all core emotional systems, the animal has the capacity to feel the emotions without having to learn anything at all. Obviously over time mammals learn to discriminate things to be fearful about and things that they can trust, but the capacity to feel itself is built in right from the start, built into the brain. Now Panksepp proved this by electrostimulating the brain, and if he did this to the fear system in the brains of humans, for example, they would report feeling very, very scared. And if he did it to animals in the same brain sites, so stimulating the same pathways, they behaved as if they were terrified. So they ran away and didn't want to return to the place where he had applied that stimulation. Now all these systems, including the fear system, involve a pathway of structures in the brain and certain sets of neurochemicals which act upon them. And these create the feelings that the body responds to. Now very little research has been done on the brains of horses. If you think about it, we don't really want them for their brains, we're looking for their brawn and their beauty. But one study of 4 thoroughbreds showed that they had enlarged amygdala. Now Panksepp has shown that the amygdala in the brain is part of the transmission and amplification of the fear message in the brain. So it may be this is why they've evolved to be so large, so that it increases the sensitivity of the horse to those initial fear messages. And this gives them their run first, ask later response that we're all so familiar with. Now horses become aroused very quickly by fear, and level of arousal is one of the key concepts to get when we're thinking about training horses to be generally less fearful and to have different solutions to the problem of what to do when they feel scared. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit further. Now scientists long before Panksepp realised that they could get different behaviours by increasing or decreasing the current that they applied to these fear pathways in the brain. At low levels of electrical current, the animal would display freeze behaviours, so they'd stand stock still, they'd pay attention to whatever they thought was the source of the fear. But when they increased the current, then the animals would first of all fidget and they'd move around and look for an exit, and then when the current got higher they would run away as far as they could from the position they were in. So we talk about the fight or flight system, but that comes from older science, and really I think we need to change that because the fight system, the fight response, is part of the rage system in the brain. Now in contrast to the fear system, horses have a less highly arousable rage system. They're actually quite peaceable animals in the wild. So I think it might be more useful to think about the freeze or flight system with horses, because really they only go to fight if they can't run away, if they don't have that option. In this film of Hartmann's mountain zebra that I took in Namibia last year, you can see these levels of responses to activation of the fear system, these different levels of arousal. Initially, the stallion gives the freeze response as he sees me and he's checking me out. The rest of the band are also making the should we stay or should we go decision, but they're really in the next level of arousal, and they show a fidget response, moving positions to check me out and gathering closer together, getting the foals moving too. Eventually the stallion decides that I am sufficiently threatening to move away from, and although the whole band don't gallop away in full flight mode, they move very deliberately away. They are in the flight mode of the brain, and they move well away out of danger. Sadly, the fear system is the one employed in the majority of horse training systems. Whether the horse is being chased in a round pen, being encouraged to move forward with a lunge whip behind them, or you're being told to back up the leg with the application of the stick, it is the flight response that you are creating in the horse. Now the horse soon learns, obviously this is the point of this kind of training, that the appearance of the whip means that they will be chased or hit if they don't move, and so they learn to move away before the whip is applied, in order to avoid the application of it. And this is classical negative reinforcement. Now the problem with this is that the behaviour, even if they do the right behaviour in response to the chasing or the whip, they do move away, that behaviour is forever associated with the bad feelings of the fear system. The horse may move off the leg, even quite softly, but inside the brain, the pathways which are being lit are the ones which feel bad. And you usually have to maintain this behaviour by maintaining the threat of the whip, the threat of the aversive. And we've all seen this, it's so common, where horses will only move off the leg if you're actually carrying a whip. You don't need to use it, but you do need to have it with you so the horse is responding to the threat. Now, with reward-based training, the pathways that are lit in the brain are the feel-good pathways. These are the ones of care, seeking and play that we talked about in the first videos. The horse learns to move off the leg to obtain a reward, and it feels good. And now we know this, that it feels good, because the horse continues with the behaviour even when you don't keep giving them a reward to do it. That pathway has been created in the brain, it feels good, so the horse does it. But if rewards are possible, then actually the horse will even improve the behaviour and become more and more responsive to the leg. So looking at the fear system, it's a huge system and I'm really struggling to keep to time here. Now we've got tons more about it in our courses. In fact, we've got a whole course on de-spooking called Cool, Calm and Connected, and there are more than 45 video lessons in that. So this is a very quick, brief overview, but the de-spooking course is of course one of our most popular courses because this flight response in horses is one of the biggest problems that we have. And of course most of us are working with horses who've in the past been trained with fear, so we've got quite a lot to unpick. But fortunately the solutions are pretty straightforward with reward-based training, and we can quite easily turn horses from being terrified of something to it becoming their favourite game. Here's an example with my horse Rasheen. You can see that she's terrified of the bridle and anything going over her head. I rescued her out of competitive pony jumping, and one of her big issues was pole pressure. The pain of the pole pressure had stimulated her fear system, which pain always does, and so she'd learned many ways to avoid it. I retrained this completely using reward-based training and turning it all into a game. I did 3 things to change her feelings. Firstly, I used something else that was not associated with the bridling. She had no fear association with the green cloth, it was something completely new. Then I used normal reward-based training to teach her to drop her head and for her to reach under the cloth rather than me to try and reach up over it and put it on over her head. This gave her control of the situation, which is really important when you're training a fear issue. If she didn't drop her head, I didn't try and put it on. Thirdly, I used the power of the play system. As we discussed in the last video, once something is taught using rewards, it becomes a game to horses, and Rasheen's new favourite game was this one. And you'll see it was very easy then to transfer it from the green cloth to the reins and the bridle. Now, we can't control the environment for our horses in order to eliminate any potential fearful stimulus, We can't go through absolutely everything they might be scared of and teach them through that sort of process. So we need something else that works in new situations and with new objects that might frighten them. For example, we want to go out riding and take them to events. This will be fun for us and it's enriching for them, unless it's a fearful experience. So new places in particular stimulate the fear system, and this is where our emphasis on connection really helps. Horses take their fear cues from other members of their herd. Foals don't question their mothers. If she runs, they run. So in our relationship with our horses, it's vital that we become the person or the animal that they take their cues from. Our training develops the kind of bond with your horse so that the horse, when alarmed, stays at a low level of arousal, still able to communicate and take instructions. When the horse gets worried, we want him to stop and ask us, should I be worried about this? We want to increase the time between the first thought of worry and the potential bolt, so that we can dismount if that's the safest option. We teach our horses that our decisions are trustworthy, and if they check in with us, they'll be okay. This creates a nice, safe riding horse who feel relaxed and happy in new situations. Okay, that's a quick canter through the fear system. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the panic system, which also creates one of our major training headaches, separation anxiety. And I'll show you how building your connection is one of the best ways to overcome this big problem. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.